Hi, friends. Just going to wait just 1 second. I think we're going now. Hi, friends. This is day 3. Thanks for joining me today. I am real curious to see, the last 2 days have been weekend days, and so we had a big turnout joining me, and I wonder if today on Monday we'll have as many people, or if we need to change the time. So I'm going to ask you that before we're done today. When is the best time for you? What time of day to join me for these chats? This is day 3. I started this 2 days ago when I came to you and just started chatting about a writing I had posted, and then talking about what's going on and how we can handle the situation in this world today on a personal level, what we can do to keep ourselves healthy and happy and safe. So today is day 3. And the first day we talked about meditation, and I talked about my writing called Meditation Saved My Life, which I truly believe that. So you can go back and read that. And if you missed some of my my last 2 days of chats, you can scroll down on my Facebook page and still watch them. We had a lot of folks gather the last 2 days, and so it's been really fun. Yesterday, we talked about writing your personal troubleshooting guide, and how I encourage you to make a list during this time that we may be isolated in our homes of things that you always wanted to do, and how we can play that out in our life as a good thing. Virginia, Phil is from Virginia. Hi. Oh, I get so tickled when new people, and Lori's in Wyoming where I live, so that's great. And I think we've got one from Illinois on there. Oh, it's so much fun to see all my friends and people who follow me that I maybe don't know really know you, or maybe you've seen me speak somewhere. And so that's how we've connected. But it's so much fun to do this. And what an important thing right now, when we probably are home, working from home, or trying to keep ourselves at home and safe because of what's going on in our world, that we can still have interactions like this. And it's one of the things that I believe is so important. And I shared in the last couple of days how I feel about it, that I am such a people person and I need to interact with people. I really miss being out there. I've had some speaking engagements canceled because of this, and I miss being out there speaking to people and sharing my ideas. And I miss just human interaction. So being able to do this, oh, Lori, I'm sorry, you are South Dakota, not Wyoming. I get confused sometimes where all my friends live. But anyway, this human interaction is so important for me, and I feel like this brings a little spark of happiness to my life when I can sit and talk and share with you. So I shared that yesterday, and all the different things that we can do on that troubleshooting list that makes us happy and brings us joy, and things that maybe we wouldn't have had time to do normally, and now we do. So that's what I talked about yesterday. And today I want to talk about something that I think might be a different mindset, a different way to think about this for many of you. And it may sound kind of shocking at first. But I started to think today, for the first day in 2 days, we have sunshine. We have been locked in with fog and frozen frosty snow for 2 days. And so today we had sunshine, still cold, but sunshine. So this morning I got to go for a long walk. And I think I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow. But I was so happy to be able to be outside of my home, smell some fresh air, and be in the sunshine, and that just made me so happy. And I started to think about this concept of what is good about this. Now, I know the virus is a bad thing. I know we've got a real serious situation going on in our world. A big part of that is this wave of fear that has taken over and is magnifying and multiplying day by day, hour by hour, it seems, that is causing a lot of fear in our hearts and our souls and our lives. And so if we think about this a different way, yes, maybe we've been encouraged to work from home, or told to work from home. Yes, we have been told to stay in our homes and away from people. We've been told to stay away from crowds. I'm hearing today about communities and governors that are mandating that restaurants be closed and no gatherings more than 50 people, and maybe that number will come down and be a smaller gathering yet. But there's a lot of rules and stipulations being put on us right now, and it's human nature that we push back against those. But I think as a whole, we're trying really hard as a group of humans to follow these guidelines and follow these rules because we know it's for the best interest of us and for our community and for our country and our world. At the same time, it still may be a little bit of a grind. Maybe you don't want to work at home. All the schools are closing, and so that puts a whole new dynamic on young families with kids. And maybe they still do have to go to work, but now they have kids at home, and who's going to take care of the kids? And, oh, by the way, Grandma and Grandpa, who maybe would have taken care of the kids, are supposed to stay in their house. So there's so many different pieces to this and dynamics. But what if we looked at it like, what is good about this? It plays off just a little bit on what we talked about yesterday, making your own troubleshooting guide of things that you always wanted to do. That now you have time, or now you at least have some space to be at home and not work so hard. And maybe you can do some of those things you always want to do. What a wonderful space we have been given in this chaos that's going on to do some of those things. And whatever that is for you, I'd love to hear what some of you put down in your troubleshooting guide yesterday that we talked about. I put down many things. I shared my list yesterday that I kept right here in front of me about things that I've always wanted to do. And I shared about cleaning out some closets. And I shared with you that since my mom had passed away in August, I have some boxes of things of hers that I brought home with me that I would like to have some time to go through. And that was what I was going to do yesterday as soon as we hung up. I told you that I love to paint, and I have a little paint studio in my garage, and I couldn't wait to get out in there. So when you look at the troubleshooting guide that you made yesterday, and you can change your mindset, maybe make another list. If you haven't figured out by now, I'm a list maker. I'm a writer, of course. I write everything down, so I love to make lists. So if you make a list of what's good about this, what is good about what is happening right now amongst all this chaos. I today got to go for a beautiful walk and the sun came out, and that made me so happy. It was such a good piece to my day. I right now have soup in the crock pot, and my bread machine is making bread, which I love to do. I don't take a lot of time to do that usually, but now I have this space and time to do it. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm going to share with you a personal story, and I share often with you about some of the tragedy in my life and some of the pockets of grief that I have survived. And most of you know that my son passed away in 2007. And I remember when we received the call about that, and we were in a different community, and we loaded up the car to hurry to where he was at the time he passed and where the funeral would be. And my husband, who was not my husband at the time, but is now, said at the last second, grab a notebook. He's a wonderful man. He said, grab a notebook. And he said, we're going to write down everything that we probably won't remember about this because our minds are jumbled in a situation like that. And let's write down everything that's good about this. And I remember feeling and looking at him like he was insane, because I thought, my son has just passed away. There is not one thing good about this situation. How could you even say that? And I was probably a mixture of angry and shocked and of disbelief when he said that. But it didn't take long. And in the 6 hours that we drove to get to our destination, I received touching phone calls from people and voicemails from people and emails from people that touched my heart in such a way. And I would write that down. I got an email from this person that was so special and put down the time. And during the process of the week of planning the funeral and taking care of his apartment and all the things that go on with a situation like that, I met people that my son knew that didn't know he knew. And they would tell me stories about how they touched his life or things that he had done. And I would write all those down. It was such a switch of a mindset from the incredible pain of grief and constant tears and anger and frustration and all those levels of grief that you go through. It was such a sweet thing to be able to think of the things that were good about the situation and write them down. I still have the notebook. It was such a gift when my husband said to me, grab a notebook. I would not have done that at the time, and I have used that many times when I speak and talk to people. I've used that example of how to look at a situation that you think is not happy, that is stressful, that is intense, and you think it may be the end of the world or it can't get worse than this, and you switch your mind to thinking about what is good about this and start writing things down. So for me, again, my walk this morning in the sunshine was a beautiful gift to me. That's what's good about this. I took the time to do that. My bread in the bread machine is a great thing today. So even if you have to hone it down a little bit, not don't say in your mind what is good about the virus going around our world, but say what is good about my day today, that I get to be home, that I get to be here isolated, and that life has slowed down. I also thought about that a lot today, that the way our life turns and the speed at which our life goes is maybe borderline crazy anymore. I know when my kids were little, they were in Little League and all these different events. And so after school, it seemed like it was rushed from one boy's Little League to the other boys and all these things. Sometimes we would eat dinner at 9 o'clock at night because we were in such a rat race of life. And now looking back at that seems calm compared to what the families and the kids go through today. Because I know, just looking at my own grandkids, between basketball practice and tournaments and dance lessons and after school music lessons, and it is just always busy, always running. So maybe one thing that's good about this is this imposed slowness. This has slowed our life to a very quiet pace. I know some of you are still working, especially if you're in the healthcare field. Maybe it's done just the opposite. You've increased, your life is spinning out much faster, maybe, than before. But for most of us, many of us are being sent home to work. Many of us maybe are on temporary leave. Maybe your place of business has slowed down or even closed, so you're not working at all. This imposed slowness, if you can look at it as a gift of a space and time that you can sit and think and actually enjoy quiet and enjoy a peaceful pace in life instead of the rat race that we're used to. And I almost wonder if when this is all said and done and we're all back at work into our normal routines, if some of this won't stick, if we won't realize during this process that we don't have to move that fast, that we don't have to do every single thing that's laid out in front of us. I know I'm guilty of that. I mentioned yesterday I have more hobbies than I'll ever have time to do. I have more ideas in my mind than I will ever have time to implement. I want to do everything. If you want to know where FOMO came from, the fear of missing out, it probably came from me, because I love to be out there and busy and with people. So this slowing down is giving us a taste and a flavor of what that's like, and the freedom it brings when you have the freedom to say, I'm going to go outside and walk for an hour in this glorious sunshine. It gives us the freedom to bake bread and read a book and do all these things that we often say we don't have time to do. So what I'd like you today is think really hard about this concept of what's good about this situation. What is good about this situation? I think I'm hearing stories about people, well, you hear stories about arguments over toilet paper, but you also hear stories about people being nice to each other, checking on their elderly neighbors, and just doing things for each other in a kinder, slower, gentler way. And maybe that's going to stick too. Maybe that's what's good about this. So if you think of these things, I would love to hear from you and your ideas of what's good about this situation personally for you, in your life, in your family, in your work, and how you see it in the world. What do you think is good about this? And again, I'm not discounting that this is not a horrible thing. It's a horrible situation that the world is in right now. But I'm thinking more in a personal level, what is good about your day to day? And if you can switch that mindset, it will be much easier to get through this piece of isolation that we've been given. It will be much easier to deal with not seeing friends and family. I'll tell you another thing that's good, and I love this one. I will love this one. Between my husband and I, we have 6 kids and 9 grandkids. Crazy big group of kids, and we love it. But one of the things my daughter and I talked about yesterday, who doesn't live far from me and has 3 little boys, but obviously we're not spending time together right now, we decided we would FaceTime every day. So I get to see those little faces every day and chat with them. And under normal circumstances, they are that young family that's busy with all their activities and things, and I don't see them every day. In fact, we can go through quite a space of time and not see each other. But now we're FaceTiming every day so that I can see the boys, and obviously they're home from school because school has been closed. And so it's another thing that's really good about this situation is that we get to talk every day. And I will give you a heads up too. When I talked yesterday about share these things with kids, teach these things to kids. Yesterday, I had just finished our chat and I was FaceTiming with my daughter and one of her sons, who is almost 8 in less than a week, was on there, and I was telling him what I talked to you about. I told him about making this troubleshooting guide. And I told him, you know what, I bet your mom can find you a notebook and you can do this. You can write down things that you really want to do so that when you get bored in these weeks ahead, being home from school, that you can pull out your notebook and look at it and pick something and say to your mom, this is what I'd really like to do today. And maybe she can help you do that. And he is almost 8 and he said, Grandma, that's a really good idea. And he said, I have a journal. I can write that in. And I was so thrilled to hear him say that. These are not big adult concepts. I mean, these are things that we can do, but kids can do them too. And kids sometimes are much quicker at it than us, and they get the idea and they understand it. I also mentioned to him at the time that maybe they need to make a schedule for their day since they're home from school. And so mommy can make a schedule and say, okay, we have recess time to play in the backyard here. And this is video game time here. And this is time that we're going to go take the dog for a walk and exercise here. And I said, that way you're not asking your mom every 5 minutes to play video games. And she's telling you, no, if you have a schedule, at 11 o'clock we play video games for an hour. And he was not as thrilled with that suggestion as the troubleshooting guide. He also decided he would name his something else, not troubleshooting guide, and I told him that was brilliant too. So anyway, another example of what's good about this for me is I get to have these FaceTime conversations, not only with you here chatting, but with my daughter and her kids. And some of my other grandkids are older now and they have cell phones, and so I can text and FaceTime with them without having to go through their parents' phone, and so that's a wonderful thing to do too. Julie, thank you so much. I she called me a positive force. I don't know about that. I just try to share things in my life. But you know what? I get so much energy and excitement from talking to you all and hearing the responses from you all, and knowing that some of my little ideas are helping you in some way and that you are trying them is a great gift back to me. So I am going to let you go for the day. I do want to know, though, and you can either tell me now or make a comment below this video after I'm done here, if this time is still going to work, because I think I've been trying to hit between 3 and 4 o'clock, and maybe I will get that more honed down and just say 3 o'clock every day or 4 o'clock every day. But I need to know if that's still going to work during the week as well as it does on the weekend, or if there's a time of day that's better for everybody. So I may post that question on my Facebook or underneath this video and see if I get any responses. But until then, I will probably keep doing this kind of time frame between 3 and 4. I so appreciate you joining me. I love doing this. I love the interaction from you. I love seeing your faces in the little bubbles there on the side. It's a great thing to see. So this has been Penny Heart to Heart. Remember, go out there and think about what's good about this situation, what's good about this day in your life. And tomorrow I will ask you what you came up with. So I will see you here tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.